If you like coffee, you're gonna love today's episode. Today we're meeting with Roberto Torres from Blind Tiger Cafe. He's gonna show us how to make some coffee. He's gonna talk to us about how he got started and tell us about how he scaled to over 10 locations. Stay tuned.
Part of the game, they running 5 drills. I'm off for the chain, and I'm hot still. Looking like Scorpion, get over here. Been some people trying to relate, ain't close to here. Think it ain't a sacred place, you done misinterpret. Relationships just ain't been worth it. Fool if you think when I don't post, I ain't working. Never too close, I know no thing certain. I walk in purpose, float on surface, fly in person. There's some stuff you gotta be birthed with.
Roberto, what's up, baby?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Man.
Good to see you. How's life? Good?
Oh man, fantastic. I got the little one at home, you got the little one at home, so you know exactly what I'm going through.
Welcome to the Blind Tiger.
Yeah, so when did this location open?
This location opened February of 2018, so 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years already.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Time
That's
flies.
insane.
It's crazy. So we did this deal 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Wow,
right.
That's amazing. Right. So yeah, show me around this place, because I haven't
been
to this location.
So this is our merchandise section. We have some glassware, mugs. We have keychains and stickers. We have a lot of teas.
Nice.
And then we kind of go over to like...
How do I not have a Blind Tiger t-shirt?
That's crazy. We're going to fix that today.
We're going to definitely fix that today. And I want to pay for it too.
Okay.
I always support small business.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
so we have some grab and goes, and then we have some coffee, and we have some food back there. We have some pastries, and that's pretty much it.
And so which store number was this for you?
This was number 3 at the time. And this one is really the one that catapulted us into having 10. So at the time, we only had the Ybor one that started in 2014.
That was the first one?
That was the first one.
Okay.
And then the one in Seminole Heights started in 2015.
Gotcha.
And then this one, we started negotiating the lease like around March of 17. Got it all done and on paper on August of 2017. And thanks to you, we got the loan. And then 4 or 5 years of permitting and construction, and then we got it open February of 2018.
Wow. Yeah, because it's funny, I started working in Ybor back in 2014.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I pretty much always remember Blind Tiger being there pretty much from the time that I started working in Ybor.
Okay.
And it was like one of our favorite places to go, because obviously, we had the branch right down the street.
Right in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. So we used to come down there and have your coffee all the time.
That's awesome.
It's amazing to see. Obviously, you became a customer of ours, and you grew.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're at 10 locations, and it seems like it happened overnight.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But that was crazy to think that 5 years ago is when number 3 opened up here.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So you want some coffee?
I want to say, man, I want to make some coffee. As a matter of fact, can we do that?
All right, yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's do it, man.
All right, so who wants to teach us how to make coffee?
All right, so Allison, you're going to show me how to make a iced caramel latte. You've already got your caramel in there on the bottom. And so how long have you been working here now?
Working here actually 2 months.
Oh, 2 months.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Were you doing this type of work before? Were you already a barista?
No, I was not.
You weren't?
No.
So you've learned quick then.
I tried to.
I'd say you're doing a good job.
Kind of have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at least everything is kind of like evenly mixed together.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Allison, thank you so much.
Of course.
I really appreciated you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. Let's say make a latte. So if there's one thing that you could say to other small business owners about the SBA process,
Yeah.
what would it be?
I think it's an opportunity to know two things. Number one, the best time to ask a banker or a bank for money is when you don't need it. And number two, you need to develop an amazing relationship with that banker. That banker needs to understand your business. He needs to know your business inside and out, probably better than you do, so that when push comes to shove and they're fighting for you in that credit department,
Sure.
like they understand and say, hey, listen, if we need to take a chance, we're gonna talk to them.
Yeah.
Historically speaking, minority-owned and women-owned businesses are the ones that notoriously access to capital has been
Difficult.
subpar.
Yeah.
And we are the ones that open businesses at a faster clip with no credit, and they're the ones that are risking chances, and our personal credits take the toll because we're trying to prove that model or that concept first.
How'd you start your first store?
Our first store, we started with $40,000.
Okay.
Which at the time sounds like a very lofty budget, but an espresso machine costs $40,000. I'll put it to you that way. So
Wow.
that budget that we had, and that budget was for demo, and was for construction, and was for equipment. And 2 months in, we were barely running out of money. So we had to figure out something very quickly to figure out how is it that we can survive. And that's when we started figuring out, okay, the next iteration is that we need to roast our own beans so that to keep our costs low, so that we can keep going. The other thing is that for SBA lenders, for SBA lenders, it's very important that the person that comes to ask for a loan, they need to have a narrative. They need to have a story, and they need to be able to tell a really good story.
Sure.
So you only need one bank to give you money, right?
That's a great point.
But in that process, you need to talk to 5, 10, maybe even 15 of them. When we first started our store, we got rejected probably by 12 different banks.
Really?
And we didn't start it with a loan. But then a year after, Seacoast Bank gave us an SBA loan for $200,000. So
Wow.
I think taking that into consideration is paramount, because people are going to tell you no. And when they tell you no, you got to understand why they tell you no.
Sure.
So having that and then showing them, and then keep coming back and say, hey, listen, here's the reason why I think you're wrong and I'm right, and I can prove you wrong. One of the persons that told us no, they said, well, you're an accountant, you have 0 coffee experience, and you guys are trying to sell t-shirts with coffee. I don't see how that works.
Right.
And for a banker, that totally makes sense. But for a banker that over and over lends money to, whether it's a dentist or a doctor's office practice or a lawyer, that totally makes sense.
Right.
So for other lenders, it could be a credit union, or it can be a community bank, or it can be a national bank. I think you also need to find your niche. You're not going to ask for a loan to borrow money for a car to somebody that lends commercial properties for real estate,
Right.
because they don't understand the product, and that's not what
It's about
not
finding
their
the
niche.
bank that works for you, right?
That's right.
And
That's
like
right.
you said, it really only takes one yes.
That's right.
So if you have to talk to 10 lenders, that's fine.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
one of them says yes, that's really that's what it takes, right? I mean, you had to
Absolutely.
find a bank that would finally believe in you, and you were able to find that. And everything you said, obviously, it makes sense to me from a banking standpoint, because it's the same
Right.
things I have to tell people on a daily basis. Is that
Right.
when you talk about having to be able to sell your story, I have to go and sell your story to the credit team, right?
That's
So
right.
that's why it's so important to me that I understand your story in the first place, right? Because if
Right.
I don't understand it and I can't buy into it, it doesn't make sense in my mind. How can I make it make sense to
Right,
somebody
right.
else, right?
You can't skim or gloss over the details. You have to be able to show and demonstrate that your projections have some meat, because to you, it totally makes sense.
Right.
Especially if you come from that industry, or if you have a little bit of experience, you've seen that story play out over and over again. But in order to put that into a nice little box and then present it to somebody else so that they can understand it just as good as you do, it's difficult, because none of us are, brand ambassadors, or perhaps communicators or marketing people.
Sure.
We're business people.
Right. And I think that, what people need to realize is that if these deals were all, perfect on the outside looking in, they probably wouldn't be SBA deals in the first place.
Right.
And that's just me being honest, right? Is that, the SBA program is there to help people like yourself get started, right?
Right.
Where a bank might not take a conventional risk.
Correct.
The SBA is there to essentially act as an additional guarantor.
Correct.
So make a bank more comfortable taking the initial risk, and that's what grows small business.
That's what I was going to say. I think a lot of people think, okay, well, if it's government guaranteed, then that means I'm good. Well, the story or the truth of the story is that the government only guarantees 80%. And
75 actually.
Actually 75%.
Yeah.
And then that gap between 5 or 10% of an injection that you have to do, the bank has the exposure of that 15%. And they want to make sure to their shareholders that they're more than covering that spread. And 9 times out of 10, I gotta tell you, I never held it against the bank for not lending. I always, my gripe is that they don't take enough chances on people that have near perfect credit because the business model is not there.
Right.
And I think whenever somebody demonstrates that they can meet an obligation, whether it's personally or with a business, I think they should take a chance on it.
Well, yeah, and that just goes back to the business model of banking in a way, right? Where it's like, the business model of banking is that you can't be wrong very often.
That's right.
Because,
right.
if a loan goes bad,
chances.
you have to make a lot of loans and have those paid back just to make back what you lost, right?
That's right.
It's kind of a small margin business. But that's also one of the benefits from SBA, right?
That's right.
Is that, the SBA, it obviously provides a guarantee for you as the guarantor, but it also provides additional income to the bank as well.
Yes.
So it works on both sides. So it's good for the customer, it's good for the bank as well. And so really, the main thing is just that the deal just has to make sense.
That's right.
Because that's what the SBA tasks the banks with doing.
Right.
They say you, as the banker, you have to be the prudent lender. So you have to make a deal that makes sense for the SBA.
Correct.
Right. And so that's why they ask for the business plan. And that's why they ask for the projections. Obviously, the bank wants to know those things as well, but the SBA wants to know.
Yeah, because you guys are boots on the ground. You guys have prime. You guys are the prime audience. Try to understand that business, and you guys are driving the mission of the Small Business Administration, which is to foster and grow small businesses.
Right.
Now, the definition for a small business is still $5 million or less, right?
So the loan amount that I can offer on the 7A program is up to $5 million.
Up to $5 million.
Okay. On the 504, we can go larger than that. And I also do USDA lending, and we can go much larger with USDA lending.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those are for like farms and what's primarily USDA?
It can be for farms. It can be for a lot of different things actually. It's also pretty popular for hotels.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The main thing is making sure that the property that's being financed is going to be in the right census tract. So it has to be in a rural area. So the USDA is essentially who decides what's rural and what's not rural. You would go on their website, type the address in, and then it would pop up and say, hey, this is an eligible area or it's a non-eligible area. But so what would you say is the biggest key to growth, right? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who maybe right now they have one location, maybe they are stuck behind the counter or stuck behind the bar, and the business is running them. They need to start running the business.
That's right.
They need to expand. What's the biggest key to doing that?
I think working hard doesn't guarantee you success. However, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And that only is attributed to one word, and that's grit. Grit, I think, is the only characteristic or trait that defines an entrepreneur or anybody, because somebody that works within an organization like you is an entrepreneur. This is why you're doing this, because you're trying to elevate your brand. So grit can be fed, or you can get more grit by doing 3 things. Number 1 is to have curious conversations like this, learning about what a banker does, learning about what an entrepreneur does. The second one is reflection. Where was I a week from now, 3 months from now, a year from now? And the third one is action. You have to have action, because that's what defines an opportunity to move forward. Entrepreneurship, it can be defined as somebody that is a billionaire or somebody that has $10 in their pocket. They are the ones that are going to define what the opportunity is. And if there's an opportunity to do business, and those are the only ones that can go forward. It's the ones that take a risk or a chance. How big or how small, that's all in between. When we first started, we were taking $50 bets. And that's very cool, right? Okay, well, you know, we're gonna buy plateware or glassware, $50. Then we were taking $500 bets. And those $500 bets, we were thinking like, okay, we can buy a limited amount of t-shirts, or we can do some merchandise, so something different. Then we were talking $5,000 bets. And those were, you know, okay, we're gonna buy a new piece of equipment that we really need to do X. And then now we're taking the $50,000 bets. Wow. And those are the ones that, you know, okay, do we want to revamp the entire city for all the cafes? That's a $50,000 project. The $500,000 bets is buying the piece of real estate that is going to go to a store that is going to ensure that that store is going to be there for the next 25 to 50 years.
Sure.
That's the next step.
Absolutely. Yeah. Roberto.
All right, Sterling. Thank you so much
for your time, man.
Thank you.
Let's not wait 5 years, man.
I know. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you so much for everything.
All right,
thank you guys for everything. Have a good one. All right, so that was Roberto Torres and Blind Tiger Cafe. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.